Today we're going to take a close-up look at the brand new Shading Sidekick brush from Trinity Stamps. This little brush is like the little sister to the Blending Buddy brush. We cannot wait for you guys to get your hands on this brush. You can see that it is much smaller. It's got a long handle so you can hold it kind of like a pencil. The brush is still that soft domed brush, but it has a little bit of an angle, so you can use that point to get down into small spaces. So this is going to be great for shading, and I can't wait to share it with you. I can't wait for you to get your hands on it and try it because it is amazing. Let's jump right in to using these on a die cut. This is a piece of cheese from our Buildable Burger die cut set. So this is die cut out, but we want to bring it to life with a little shading of ink. So this is Distress Oxide ink in Fossilized Amber. You can see I just swirled my brush around on the pad to pick up color. I always like to start my ink blending on the mat and then move my way onto the paper. Now this soft brush is really going to do exactly what its name says and just shade the edge of this. So soft, so beautiful. It really does the job of like fading out for you because it's so soft and it is pliable. It's not going to give you a harsh circle at all. It is amazing. So adding that little dusting of color is effortless. Isn't that gorgeous? It comes out so beautifully. You can add more layers. If you want it really dark, you can keep it nice and soft with just a hint of color on there. It just depends your style and the look that you're going for. So take a look at that. Shading your die cuts, which really helps bring them to life. I absolutely love it. Okay, now let's say you want to do some ink blending, but on something a little smaller, like this shadow layer die cut from our Simply Sentimental Special. You can do that as well. So we're going to take just a little bit of ink because we're doing a small area, and we're going to bring this on to our die cut and probably bring it down halfway because we do want to do a little ink blending. That's what the technique we're looking at here. So bring that down about halfway. Very easy to do. Now we'll bring in our second color. Grab our ink. So this is Stormy Sky and Fossilized Amber. I really like to turn my die cuts and work so I can see where they're going to blend. So you can see I'm keeping the darkest color ink at the bottom, and as my brush runs out, I'm going to move towards the yellow. I can really leave it just like that if I don't want the blend, right? But if I want it to go ahead and blend, then I'm going to give that a little rotate, and I'll bring back in my yellow and we'll start working these together. And you can see how easy this is to do on a smaller surface with these smaller brushes. And we've got kind of a nice fall look going on with these two colors. Then we could bring back our blue if we wanted to do that. And really bring that blend together there in the middle. I've kept it nice and subtle, nice and soft. Check that out. Just a little glow there in the middle of like a greenish color. So there is ink blending with our Shading Sidekick brushes. Another way I like to use the brush is to darken up the edge of something just by dragging it along the edge like that, and you can really make a dark focal edge like that. See how it darkened that up compared to here? Give that a try, where you do your ink blending on your die cuts, but then come back and just dust the edge, and it really makes it pop. Now let's talk about stenciling. This is a little stake from our Great Grillin die set, and we're going to use our Shading Sidekick brush. We're going to just stencil this up and keep that bottom layer a little bit soft, a little bit light, and then we can add in a little bit of details, but you can see how soft this is. Because this brush is so pliable, it is so soft, it is rounded, you can really get in there and leave a really almost airbrushed look to your projects that you use these with. Take a look at that. Now we're going to add a little bit more detail with these additional pieces. So we're going to rotate that, and we're actually going to come in with the same color and layer this up. And we're going to go in right on the stencil. We're going to make it darker. And I can really focus my attention on one area and leave some of it lighter. Because we've got that angled brush, I can collect ink more on the tip and focus on that little spot. All right, let's see how this turned out. Wow, look at that. Isn't that great? Should we add some grill marks to our steak? Look at here, we can add these little grill marks. I'm going to switch out my brush because I like to keep a brush for each color. I can use this for different shades of red. And when I want to switch out my shade of red to maybe something a little more pinky, I can bring in a paper towel and I can brush this off if I want to do that. You can also clean these with some mild soap and water if you needed to do that, but I just like to keep a set. This one I'm going to use for all my reds. I have one for yellows, one for blues, and I like to keep my brushes for my distress inks or dye-based inks separate from brushes that I use for oxide inks. Then I don't have to worry about contaminating those ink pads. Okay, for my grill marks, I'm bringing out Scorched Timber. I'm loading up my brush. I haven't used this color yet. So this is going to be probably black. My brush is for black. And then I'm working on an area where these openings on my stencil are quite small. And you can see this brush is doing a beautiful job of getting into those tiny little openings on my stencil. Look at that. Isn't that so much fun? Let's try out the brushes now with some Distress Oxide inks. We'll make just a little miniature ink blend here that would maybe be good for like a sunset. So I'm going to start with some Villainous Potion. You can see, again, I'm always starting on my mat and then working my way onto my paper. I'm trying to do ink blending, so I want the edge to be darker and then move my brush down on the paper as it starts to fade out. All right, then we're going to do the bottom, and that's going to be with some Carved Pumpkin. So I'm going to need my orange brush. I've got my little can of brushes right here next to me. I love that I can just bring the whole thing over to where I'm working because, you know, they're smaller. So I can do that. So I'm going to move this up towards the center, but still leave a little bit of white there in the center. And that'll be for our next and final color, which is going to be the Saltwater Taffy. So this is kind of a pinkish color, but again, it's a little coral. So what I'm going to do is take my pink brush, but I'm going to rub this off on my paper towel just a little bit because I feel like I'm really switching up my colors more so than what is on here, which is probably Kitsch Flamingo. That's one of my favorites. So we'll do that. And you can see I've got some pink off of that. And then I can pick up this new color that's a little bit different. And then we're going to come in from the side and work our way across and really try to keep the color true to the center first and really lay down that true color before I start moving out to the blended areas. I want to have that swatch down first, and then I can start bringing it out. I might work on purple first. That way if I collect any purple on the brush, I can bring my paper towel in, rub that off before I start doing the ink blending with the orange, and really, you know, I could potentially muddy up the whole thing. So now we'll move down towards the orange and really make kind of a fun little sunset. So you could do a little miniature scene on here. You could die cut this, whatever you wanted to do, and then you can always come back in with those brushes, maybe even without adding any extra ink, and go over that blend again to really get the look that you want and intensify the colors, soften the blend. And there you go. These are great for doing ink blending on smaller areas. And I love them with the oxides. Talk about storage. You can store your shading Sidekick back in the container that it came in. It has this little rubber stopper, and I like to put the handled end first. It keeps the bristles together, so you can store them like that. There's plenty of other methods you could do. I like to keep mine in a little container like so. Then I can easily see the colors. I can pick out the one I need, and you can see I have my red, orange, yellow, pink, and can pick the color easily and start shading. To clean your brush, I am going to use a little scrubby here that is for makeup brushes that I got from like the dollar store somewhere, but you wouldn't need this. And then you're going to take a mild soap. I just have hand soap here. I'm going to squirt it on here. And then you can take your brush, get it wet, and then you can use this to clean the ink off of it. Now mine's already clean because I already shot this once, but I was a little off camera. But I wanted to show you it's really easy to clean. You just want to be gentle. Use a gentle soap, a mild soap, and then rinse it. And then I like to just gently squeeze out any excess water that might be in there. And your bristles could be a little bit stained on your brush, but it is clean and ready to go. And if you needed to use this for a different color, you totally could. I just lay it flat like that and let it air dry overnight. Here's that brush, dry, ready to go and do some more blending. Thank you so much for stopping by and letting me share one of our favorite new tools with you, the Shading Sidekick brush. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below and we'll get back to you with an answer very soon. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon on a new crafty video here at Trinity Stamps. Bye.